beginning with the fall of Rome in 476 and ending in the 14th century. With the start of the Renaissance, Europe's medieval period was far more significant than common monikers like the Middle Ages and Dark Ages imply. After centuries of progress in science, technology, literature, and the arts, the era came to an end. Thanks to the towering spires of newly constructed cathedrals, the so-called Middle Ages architecture permanently altered the town and cityscapes of Europe. The lives of the nobles, peasants, and everyone in between clearly differed from one another in terms of what individuals ate, what they wore, and how they spent their time, as a result of the medieval social structure. These 7 commonplace items from the Middle Ages, which range from ecclesiastical art to undergarments, help illuminate this period of underappreciated accomplishments. Number 1. Exotic animals. Like the favored classes of past eras, those who lived in the Middle Ages did not miss an occasion to display their wealth, power, and pride. These items were particularly cherished if they were rare and had to be procured and carried to them from far regions, in addition to their monetary value. This included exotic animals like monkeys, tigers, and tropical birds, in addition to imported material items like spices and vividly colored silk. In his painting Lady with an Ermine, created in 1489, Leonardo da Vinci nailed this specific status sign by showing a young noblewoman holding a small weasel known as an ermine. The wealthiest people in medieval society, including kings, used clothing made from the fur of these little creatures, including robes. According to Liam Davis, an art historian for Artfile magazine, the painting offers a glimpse into the opulent material culture and the nobility's connection to the natural world during the medieval period. Number 2. Spindle. The manufacturing of textiles during the Middle Ages was a labor-intensive vocation that required acquiring a variety of skills, including how to utilize implements like spindles. The household character of spinning and its significance throughout the time period, in Davis's opinion, are highlighted by paintings of scenes from the medieval age, such as The Spinner by Jean-Baptiste Gros. According to him, the spindle highlights the economic contribution of the lower class, especially women, as they played a crucial role in supporting their households through their craft. Number 3. Altarpiece. Regardless of socio-economic class, religion and the church were at the heart of most people's life during the Middle Ages, and this was evident in the cathedrals and other places of worship of the time. Many churches have elaborate altarpieces and other outside construction as well as interior decor. According to Lane Eagles, an assistant teaching professor at the University of Washington who specializes in medieval history, altarpieces are essentially works of art made especially to decorate the most sacred area of a church, the altar, and serve as a backdrop for the Christian sacrament of the Eucharist. The altarpiece was arguably the most significant artistic feature in every medieval church. These multimedia displays frequently included painting, sculpture, wood, marble, silver, gold leaf, jewels, and semi-precious stones, expensive elements intended to best portray the grandeur of the god and paradise. Number 4. Sewing needles. Although upper-class women in the Middle Ages did not have the same access to education that men did, they were frequently taught in household arts like sewing. However, even down to the tools they utilized, their work with textiles was different from that of their lower-class peers. According to historian, educator, and author Andrew Varga, metal sewing needles were a rarity in medieval times and would have only been owned by the richest of women. While women from less affluent backgrounds generally utilized needles made of wood, bone, boar bristles, or other organic materials like antler. Varga continues, the fact that metal needles were only used by the wealthier sections of society shows that fine metalworking was not highly sophisticated in medieval culture. Number 5. Mirror. In the Middle Ages, Mirrors were valuable luxury items, likely owned only by upper-class women, far from the ordinary home products they are now. They were symbols of status and wealth, and many depict scenes of love and chivalry, as they were often given as courting gifts, explains Eagles, an expert in medieval history. The bright parts of these mirrors were composed of highly polished metal, such as bronze, tin, or silver, while the backings or covers were typically made of delicately carved ivory. Medieval mirrors wouldn't have been very reflective, she says. Imagine living your entire life with only a vague concept of your appearance. Number 6. Book of Hours. According to Eagles, books were hard to come by in the Middle Ages, and literacy rates were noticeably lower than they are today, particularly among the lowest classes. Members of affluent households had access to texts known as books of hours in their homes, although the majority of people encountered books in church settings, typically in the form of an illustrated manuscript of the Bible. Lower than they are today, particularly among the lowest classes. Members of affluent households had access to texts known as books of hours in their homes, although the majority of people encountered books in church settings, typically in the form of an illustrated manuscript of the Bible. Number 7. Herbals. While some aspects of medical care during the Middle Ages may have seemed puzzling or even cruel to people living in the 21st century, it is possible to see the development of modern medicine in others, most notably in the use of plant-derived remedies. The use of these natural remedies is documented in herbals, or manuscripts. Aaron Campbell, a reference librarian at the Lloyd Library and Museum in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the earliest works on botanic medicine and pharmacology were published at the end of the 15th century, says that herbals are books that listed plants and provided physical descriptions and illustrations of each, along with their medicinal and culinary uses, as well as their toxicity.